Hello BookTube! I know it's been a while, but I am not going to apologize for it. This is my channel and I can post when I want to. I periodically take, hiatuses from BookTube, but I always come back, and here I am today. I've gotten a few, weird comments from people about how my videos are unprofessional, or how I stutter and that makes me seem unintelligent, or similar things, and I'm like, dudes, I make these for free, okay? I do not get compensated for this, and I'm doing this pretty much out of basically the goodness of my heart. So none of you have to watch, and if you don't like it, you can leave. So that's my rant out of the way. I wanted to talk about how the shelter in place has impacted my reading styles, and that's pretty much going to be it. Basically, I've been on BookTube for 4 years now. I don't even know. It's been a while. And I really love this community, and I love how it's inspired me to read more. But a big part of BookTube did, fundamentally change not just the books that I read, but how I read. It became a much bigger part of my life because I wanted to, read books that everyone else was reading so I could discuss them with my friends. I wanted to read interesting books so I could talk about them on my channel. I wanted to read more so I can, seem impressive. I've read, X many number of books a year. I wanted to, read from a variety of different authors, and I wanted to participate in readathons and read on theme and all those different things. And, when the shelter in place happened and the social distancing and the quarantine and all those words that we did not know several months ago, I realized, and this wasn't just in the book world, but I realized that my mental health had taken a downwards turn, and I did not have the energy to deal with so many of my self-inflicted rules or requirements, when I basically just had to do triage and only take care of my my physical self and the people who depended on me, and my job and my emotional health and everything, and my mental health, all those important things. But then all of those other arbitrary rules that I had imposed on myself, I just let go, and I had to release myself from them because it was far too stressful. I'm talking about things like, I had this rule that I always had to read a book before I watched the movie. Or I let that go, that's gone. I also books that I had on my TBR for 10, 15 years. I don't care anymore. I'm letting them go. If I'm reading a book and if I don't like it, I DNF it. I don't feel any of those, internal obligations anymore. And when I first, I did make a video that I never posted, and it was several months ago, and all this started, and it was about how it's okay to not be reading right now, because when quarantine first started, I saw a lot of people talking, I saw a lot of buzz basically about how, that Shakespeare wrote, all these plays during the Black Death, and so how are you going to work on your novel? And I don't have an excuse, so now I'm going to read 200 books this year. And I was like, people, calm down, we may, I was still going to work, but we may be sheltering in place. This is not a vacation. This is not normal. We have to take care of ourselves, and don't impose those obligations on yourself, because you're going to burn out, basically. So long story short, I released myself from those obligations, and I didn't read for a long time, for several months, mostly because my brain was very tired. I was too tired to read books, I was too tired to listen to audiobooks, I was too tired to watch television or even listen to music. I just had to sit in silence because my brain was exhausted. And now I've been inching out a little bit more. I've been reading a few books, but the last thing that I'm worried about is my Goodreads reading challenge, and that's the last thing you should be worried about too. But basically, I'm trying to recapture my reading style of when I was younger and prior to BookTube, which was, I find a book, it seems interesting, and I read that book. It makes it a lot more simplified for me. And when I release myself from having to participate in readathons or read X number of books a year, or read the hottest books so I can talk about it on my channel or with my friend, I'm just reading books that I think are interesting right now. And if I don't like them, I DNF them, and I'm not worried about my overarching demographics or my overarching spreadsheet. I don't don't care anymore. And it's much better for my brain because reading is becoming again more of a leisure activity than something that I have to, another obligation that I have, you know, when again, I don't get paid for BookTube. Why was I stressing myself out over this? And even now, you know, like there's some embarrassment that I have or something of saying that, you know, I wasn't reading or whatever when this was literally a book community. But like, I mean, we're all dealing with a lot, and so I'm not going to shame myself for any of that. So, yeah, that being said, books that I have that I am now currently reading. Current book I have is The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. Everyone knows about the Neapolitan books, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. Yeah, those, I really like that series. They seem, even though they deal with a lot of dark themes, they kind of have this like wholesome energy to them, and so it's helping to relax my brain, and it's so hopefully can spring back a little bit more. Yeah, and I'm just doing I'm just going where the spirit leads me, you know, reading the books that I want to read. I also recently finished My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. She most famously wrote Rebecca, which I'm sure you all know about. I have not read Rebecca, but I buddy read that with Amy, and I really enjoyed that book. It just seemed to be like a much more of a thrilling ride. I might talk about that book more in depth at some later point, but this video is already getting too long. And the next thing I'm hoping to get into is Anne of Green Gables, because I really love it. That just seems like the perfect summer series, and I was trying to read all of them again last summer, but I never got to it because again of my internal BookTube obligations got in the way. So yes, I will be mood reading them hopefully, and it just seems very idyllic and very peaceful. It just seems like a good way to really, you know, restore the elasticity of my brain hopefully, so that I can come back more resilient. Let me know what you guys are currently reading, and if you're not reading, that's fine too. I know this is BookTube and you're technically not supposed to say that, but if you are not reading, you are all dealing with more than enough right now, so release yourself from that pressure. If you have read these books, let me know, or if you haven't, and I will see you all next time, whenever that may be. I make no promises. Bye.